All right.
Okay,
got
and
it.
I'm grabbing that link and getting ready to email it to you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, hon. Thank you. All
Bye.
righty. Bye-bye. Hello, stranger. How good to see you.
Recording. Recording.
Hello, there, everybody. My goodness, we've got Pam in twice. We've got Patty in twice.
Oh. Hi there.
Hi there. What a great adventure.
Happy to be here.
So good to have you. My goodness. All righty. There are more people waiting to get in, so I'm going to let them come in first. Hi, Patty. It is so good to see you.
Hi, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's been forever.
I know.
See you. Mary, welcome. Oh, Mary's connecting to audio. Patty, how come you're in twice?
I don't know. I'm trying to look around on that one.
You'll get twice as much out of it.
Yeah, twice the recording.
Pam, you're in twice as well.
I know, I'm trying to get out. I wasn't getting in, so I tried a different place. All right, let me get out. Let's see if I can get out. No, I don't want to
My goodness.
leave.
Where did I go?
I don't know.
Here we go.
Just open up your video, Pam. Isn't it the simple things in life that get in the way?
Yes.
Not the complicated pieces, but the simple little pieces. Somebody is having trouble getting in. All righty. We've got about 20 signed up, but we will get started with what we've got going right here. All right, let me know, if you will, what caused you to come on board, because I want to make sure I discuss whatever it is you need. Jill Bosco, welcome. It's been 1,000 years. Good to see you. How can I help you? What is it you're looking for?
Good question. Well, I guess, I'm definitely in a phase of life right now, a healing phase and recovery phase from some self-sabotaging behaviors and toxic environments.
All right.
I am interested in this topic, Dottie, of how my personality may be cultivating those kinds of things in my life, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, I just happened to get my most recent labs back, and apparently my cholesterol is high. So there's a little physical health.
Okay.
So yeah, just really interested to hear your perspective on this topic.
All right, great. So cholesterol is a common issue that really goes with our culture. All right, so we can take a look at that and why you bring in the toxicity to begin with. Patty, what about you? You're looking fantastic.
I am, yeah, I've done this a number of times with you, but I just want to get a check back in on it. And I've also been going through some illnesses after job loss, and then I've just gone through chemo with cancer, and I'm going through radiation and lots of different things like that. So I thought this might be a good New Year thing to start off with.
Good. I'm really glad I'm here to support you. All right, every way I can, Patty. Okay, Mary, what about you, darling?
Well, I finally just figured out the audio, so I missed the beginning. I'm doing great now. We had not seen our sons in 2 years because of COVID, and we just got back from spending holiday with them. So that's all good. I love to refresh the personality traits and physical attributes once a year at least, Dottie, to keep on top of things. I'm relatively healthy and I'm happy for that. Have a few issues physically that come with, I don't know, I could say with age, but I keep trucking, I keep walking and doing the best I can.
Yeah, and it's the best we can do, all of us, you know. Michael, welcome. I'm so glad to see you here with us, you know.
Thank you, Dottie. I figured you needed a dose of testosterone, I guess. I don't know where all the men are.
Well,
Men
there
don't
were-
have personalities. Is that the story? No. No,
There
I'm
Go
huh?
ahead. There were
No,
20
I'm just,
people registered. We just take what shows up on the actual filming. So go ahead, Michael.
no, I don't feel alone. I love being around women. I like being around strong women like you all. And from what you've said already, good Lord, I'm amazed by your own strength, what you all are going through. Those of you who have spoken. But in terms of personality and health, for me, I'm curious about the fine line between personality, which you're born with,
Right.
and the habits you pick up along the way that contribute or detract from that personality.
Yeah, and what I would say to that, honestly, is that, and welcome, Kimberly. What I would say to that is that we are born with an energetic propensity. Let's just say whether that's introvert or extrovert, to make it simple. All right. How we learn to express that depends on the environment in which we grow up and how we respond or react to that environment we grow up in. All right. Our personality truly has nothing to do with who we are. It's what we develop either to be safe or to be loved. And we all want both, to be safe and to be loved, but some of us through compulsion need to be loved. And some of us through compulsion need to be safe. And we create personality styles, personality perspectives, personality outlooks based on that. And that's what I'll go into. All right.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. That because who we are is rarely who people see. It's rarely what happens. What I can tell you is that, you know, in the 80s, I was a chaplain at Hartford Hospital. And when I was a chaplain, what would happen in that the Catholic priest there was highly offended I was a chaplain, because if you don't have a penis, you don't belong in the priesthood, and therefore you don't belong as a chaplain. All right. So there was some difficulties just in being a chaplain in a hospital. But what happened is that the physicians would say to me, I'm going to go see the heart in 726. I'm going to go see the bladder in 835. And I would always say there's somebody attached to it. You know, there's a human being attached to that heart. There's a human being attached to that bladder. And what we really need to do is look at the human being attached to those pieces that you're working with, because the human got ill, not the bladder, not the heart. And if somebody was involved in an accident or in a fire on the burn unit, there's a reason that person was involved in that situation. Things don't happen out of context. And, you know, it really made it so clear to me that we are not just a collection of body parts, that there's something so much more to who we are, that's so much larger, so much more involved. And what ended up happening is that I pursued this and found that there was a whole other field out there, a whole other field of healthcare that was beginning, and it was called in those days psychoneuroimmunology. And what psychoneuroimmunology said is that your psychology impacts your immune system. And because your psychology impacts your immune system, when your psychology, when your brain function isn't healthy, it is diseased, your immune system is weakened. And so when your immune system is weakened, then you end up becoming physically ill. So we have to go back and look at what is going on psychologically that impacts the immune system that makes you physically ill. That field of psychoneuroimmunology developed into epigenetics. And epigenetics became a field in which we now know that every thought, every belief, and every behavior you possess impacts your health emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So if you can think of it, if you can think of a pinball machine, and you've got this ball bouncing around, hitting all of these obstacles as it goes up and around and down again, and we hit it, the ball back up, and it keeps on going. Every thought, every feeling, every emotion that you hold because you're not supposed to think it or feel it becomes something similar to, Marian, check your, if you don't hear anything, check your audio and check the volume on your computer to see if the volume is up. If you have an outside microphone, check and make sure that it's working and that you've connected to audio, or connect to the audio on your computer. All right. All right. So what ends up happening, I just want to address that somebody can't hear anything. What I want you to see is that when you say something, we're all human. I don't care how nice we want to be. And I put those in quotes because I think nice is horrific. But we're not meant to be nice or good. We're meant to be compassionate and kind. When you are nice or good, you're living according to somebody else's expectations about who you are supposed to be. Somebody told me I should think this way. Somebody told me I should feel this way. Consequently, I want to be good. I want to be nice. I want to think or feel the way they told me I should, which may have absolutely nothing to do with the reality of who you are. All right. So looking at it, if I'm in the grocery store in line and somebody is being obnoxious, the little girl in me that comes from South Boston wants to get up and slap that sucker on both sides of their head. All right. And if I'm honest, I'm going to admit, whoop, so close to sainthood, just a few million miles away, because I want to slap that sucker for being so obnoxious. When I can own that, I can then laugh at the little girl who still has the gumption to say, who the heck do you think you are, treating somebody badly? All right. I would never do it because I've learned as an adult to have appropriate behavior. But I can laugh at that inclination that pops up, that this little 3-year-old from Southie is still alive and kicking, thank God. All right. And so when I can laugh at her, I don't have to pretend to myself, no, I didn't really feel that. No, I didn't really think that. No, I would never want to do that. Yes, I would. I wouldn't do it, but I would want to do it. All right. There's a huge difference in that, because when we say I shouldn't feel this way, we energetically create something akin to a cyst. And that cyst exists in our body. And so the next time something happens, and it may be somebody wonderful that just says to me, gee, could I have a glass of water? And I want to say, cripe, I just sat down. They get, no, that's not nice. They do so much for me. I should feel grateful and I should get up and get them. All right. So therefore, I don't want to feel that, but I do feel it. And it's okay to say, whoa, I feel it. I'm still going to get up and get a water. But the part of me just wants to say, no way in hell, go get it yourself. And when I don't own that again, because a good girl wouldn't think that way, somebody who gets so much from this person should never think that way, then all of a sudden I have another cyst. And what ends up happening is we end up with so many of these cysts existing in our body energetically that we start developing pain. And so you think, God, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, this hurts, and we don't know why it hurts us. It hurts us because there's such a large accumulation of these energetic cysts. And you go to the doctor, he says, I can't figure out where it is. I don't understand it. What I'm going to do is let me send you MRIs or CAT scans or x-rays or whatever. And you end up going and you get these CAT scans or these MRIs or whatever the case may be. And he says, I can't find anything. So basically, you're not really in pain. You only think you're in pain, because if you're in pain, I'd be able to see it. And the fact is, you know darn well you're in pain, and that pain exists because you have all of this within you. You have all of these energetic cysts within you. And that ends up, what this is all about is the development of those energetic cysts, the development of all of these things that exist in your body that are impacting your immune system. They impact your disease. And because we are holograms, and we truly are holograms, we're emotional, spiritual, physical beings, that when something impacts us on one level emotionally, it also impacts us physically and spiritually. When something impacts us spiritually, it also impacts us emotionally and physically. This is just how it works. We're not one-dimensional beings. What impacts us in one arena impacts us in all the others. So whether you are more conscious of your physical body, I know this hurts me. Well, then if you know something hurts you, sit down and take a look. What's going on emotionally or spiritually that you're not dealing with? If you are feeling emotionally sad or enraged, sit down, if you will, and notice, where do you feel that in your body? Because you will. I had a woman I worked with years ago. She had 2 daughters. And what would happen to her is whenever one particular daughter acted up, the right shoulder went out. And she would come in to see me for therapy. I would do half-hour therapy, half-hour on the healing table. And I would say, oh, the right shoulder, what is Emma doing? Oh my God, I forgot that. You're right. She has been so obnoxious lately. Do you know what's going on? And then we'd start talking, and all of a sudden the shoulder would start feeling better because we would be working with it. The other daughter, it was the other shoulder. And the shoulders go out because the shoulders are the way in which we carry the burdens of the world on ourselves. And so when your shoulders hurt, take a look at what are the burdens you're impacting. What are the shoulders? What shoulder you have? With right and left has a difference. The right side of the body is the masculine. So the right side of the body deals with the masculine part of us. So that's really about our belief systems. It's about the things we're called to do. So if the right side is in great difficulty for you, notice that there's something going on that you're supposed to be doing. You're having difficulty with some belief systems that perhaps used to fit you, but don't fit you anymore. You know, because as we grow, we change our belief systems. As we grow, we change the way we look at things. And if you're still trying to hold on to the way you used to see it, and yet you've outgrown it, you're going to be developing some areas on the right side of the body. The left side of the body is feminine. That deals with your spirituality, your beliefs, your femininity, the I am. What I would suggest, and I'm going to be offering an 8-week course after this, you know, starting in January 25th. And we'll go into much more personal detail on it. But what I would suggest to you, and I will suggest to everybody taking this course, write down on an 8x11 piece of paper, write down every illness or accident you have had from the moment of conception on that you can remember. Nothing is too small. So on the left side of this 8x11 piece of paper, every accident, every situation, every illness you've had, no matter how big or how small. And when you're done writing that down, on the right side of the paper, write down what was going on in your life when that accident or that illness took place. And what you were going to notice is that this is a clear pattern. And for every one of us, it's different, you know, For some of us, every time we get ill, we have to let go of somebody or something. For some of us, every time we get ill, we have a certain emotion. I used to do long distance healings. I was listed in this global record of healers. I get a call from a man in Australia whose back was in horrific pain, who could hardly get out of bed. And when I asked him what was going on, he said to me, I'd just been so damn stupid. I said, well, tell me how you've been stupid. And he said, I lost my job and I took this job with an organization. It was a startup. And we did phenomenally well for 8 years. And then the economy turned and the whole thing's closed. Now I'm unemployed. How stupid of me to go with the startup. I should have gone with an old standing company, even though I hated the job, it would have been secure. So tell me how you felt in the startup. He said, I felt alive, I felt vibrant, I loved every minute of it. But how stupid of me to trust something that was just starting out. So I said, okay, so you're stupid and your lower back is out. When did your lower back hurt you before? Let's go through the history of your lower back. And the very first time his lower back hurt him, he was 4 years old and his mother had a tire swing out in the backyard. And all his older brothers used to play with it all the time. And he could hardly get in it. So, and his older brothers didn't want to be bothered with him because he was the baby. But he finally managed to get in it and he swung twice and then fell off and hurt his bottom. So he cried and his brothers were laughing at him. His mother had to come out and bring him in. And they were all telling him how stupid he was. He can't even ride a swing. And so in his mind's eye, being stupid, the very first time he was stupid, it impacted his lower back. So here he is stupid again. And what's going to hurt him? Where that memory was locked in his body. And what's locked, the memory that's locked in his body of being stupid is in his lower back. So once he could see that, and I spent about 45 minutes working on his body. We hung up because this was an international call long before cell phones, hung up and worked with him and then called back. And he couldn't believe that the pain was all gone because we worked with the stupidity, the belief of stupidity. We worked with what was happening. And all of a sudden he recognized that I am stupid as a belief system was locked in that part of his body. And when I warned him, if he ever felt stupid again, that was going to be happening. So take a look until we could release, and we did release a lot of that, but we always have the ability to bring it back. Kimberly writes, what if we don't remember what was going on at that time? Kimberly, amazingly, if you relax, it's amazing what you can remember in time or put it out in prayer, and you may remember it in a dream that night. You don't have to remember every single time, just you'll notice a pattern. And the pattern is terrific, but you'll see it, and then that may help you fill in the blanks of the other parts that you're missing. And so this really shows you all of these things that happen. And so what I would like to do is a very quick run through for you to take a look at some of these things that, research shows us we are not here to survive this journey. We are here to live it. And if what we are doing is going through life in survival, think of how that feels in your body. You're pushing, you're barely getting through. It's difficult. Oh my God, another day. When you're surviving and letting that go and move into living. When you're living, everything feels vibrant, everything feels alive. And literally the energy is flowing through your body. The energy is taking off, the energy is moving. And with that, it's almost like a faucet running through a glass of water. It's continuously cleaning this dirty glass of water. It's getting cleaner and cleaner as the energy runs through it. And that's truly what happens when we come into a place in our lives, when we're truly living our life and not surviving it. The energy is flowing through and we have all of our health. It just happens, it flows, and it's absolutely a wonderful part of your life. Notice, if you will, that whenever you moved into survival and life was a struggle and you were going to get through it, you usually ended up developing an illness. It might have been a cold, it might be the flu, maybe it's pneumonia. And we all have propensities. And as you'll notice this, if you do this list, some of us, whenever we get high stress, we get strep throat. Other people, when they get high stress, they get migraines. Others, when they get highly stressed, their stomach, they develop stomach disorders. It could be colitis, it could be diverticulitis, it could be anything under the sun. You know, some of us, whenever we end up with pneumonia when we're extremely stressed. We all have patterns, and we have those patterns because our personalities hold stress differently. Different personalities hold stress differently, and I'll go into some of that for you. But the major piece is to take a look about belief systems. I worked with two men in back a long while ago in Connecticut General, which became Cigna in Hartford, Connecticut, an insurance company. And when these two companies merged, they go of thousands of people. And I worked with two different men, one for a longer period than another. They come in after they were laid off. And unfortunately, to me, a lack of morality in the corporate world, these men were in their late 50s, early 60s. And they'd been with the company over 20 years, but they were let go before they could collect a pension. All right. And what ended up happening is one man came in to see me just once, and he said to me, you know, I'm supposed to see you one time to deal with all of this. He said, and it was a gift. He said, I told my wife, I've hated my job for the past 10 years, but that job's put the two boys through school and allowed her to stay home and raise the kids. And he said, now it's gone. He said, I never would have had the nerve to quit because I would have stayed until retirement because of the benefits it would give us. He said, but I was forced out, and it was a gift they gave me. And the gift they gave me, he said, is that, yeah, we have to, the kids are gone now, they've graduated. We have to watch our purse strings. We have to watch what we're doing. He said, but I'm going to get a job at Lowe's, which had just opened up down the street. He said, and I don't have to wear a suit. There's no more meetings. We all have the same basic uniform, which is casual clothes. And I can go in there. And he said, I know a couple of the guys that are working in there. They used to work with me. He was delighted. His blood pressure went down. His sex drive went up. His cholesterol went down. His life changed for the better when he lost his job. Another man at the same place only came to see me for a few times, but then he stopped seeing me because he didn't like what I had to say. He came in, and Signet was full of blankety blank people. All right. He'd given his life to these GD people, and now they were letting him go. And who the hell did they think they were? So he stayed home, got enraged, started drinking more and watching TV. He was absolutely emasculated because a man's job is to provide for his family. And he was enraged that this company had the audacity to emasculate him. And so with the drinking and watching TV, his wife ended up having to go back to get a job, which emasculated him more. This man ended up with an enlarged prostate and eventually prostate cancer. And he left me because if I was any good at my work, he would never have gotten sick. All right, even though his rage was increasing and increasing. So when you look at this, the same thing happened to two people. And yet two people had dramatically different reactions. So it impacted, look at their spiritual belief systems. One man was set free because life was basically was a gift. Another man is a victim and life screwed him yet again. So what's your spiritual belief systems? How do you see life? Is it a gift? Is the world out to get you? Is life an experience to be lived and relished? You know, what is that? And look how that spiritual belief impacts you emotionally. And look at how the emotions impact you physically. So there's just a predictability to this. Jill writes, how does mental illness and mental health fit into this? Enormously, Jill, because what ends up happening is that we become mentally unhealthy. And I'm really cautious about sticking labels on people. You know, when I was getting my MA, we were required to take psychopathology. And what ended up happening for most of us who took psychopathology, every one of us developed every one of those illnesses. The week we're studying schizophrenia, we were all schizophrenic because we had some of those traits. The week we were discussing manic depression, we were all manic depressive because we all had great days and down days. Therefore, we were, it's amazing what happens. And when I was getting my doctorate, I refused to study and focus on psychopathology. I recognize it. I understand it. I've had patients that work with it. I've had patients who I referred to psychiatrists who were doing that. But I look at it from a healthy perspective, from a spiritual perspective, that when it comes to mental health, what is your belief system? And certainly there are those, we do have such a thing as multiple personality disorders. We do have manic depression. We do have psychoses. But many people take on labels because it helps pharma give them medicine. So I would say, let's back up and look at some things. What is going on? If your belief is that life is out to get you, you are going to become depressed or angry. If you believe you are powerless, you're going to become depressed or enraged. So what's going on for you? And I'm absolutely for medication in a short-term basis, unless obviously you have a defined psychiatric illness. I'm fine with medication for a 3 to 6 month period to support you in functioning so you can look at what's going on in your life. To me, that's a really healthy thing you do for yourself. And then take a look at what's happening and develop the skill sets to look at and deal with whatever's happening in your world. All right. But in my experience, most of the people that I see or that I saw back in the days, I was seeing 42 patients a week. But even now I see a few people that most of the people I see, it's really a reaction, a response to the stresses in their life and an inability to deal with the stresses in their life because of spiritual beliefs that they have around who they are supposed to be. I am supposed to be all powerful. I am supposed to be completely resilient. I am not supposed to feel depressed because I'm supposed to be happy. Everybody feels depressed. Everybody has periods of loneliness. Everybody has periods in which they feel lacking in self-worth. We've all gone through days where I'm just the dumbest person that's ever walked the planet. Welcome to humanity. Welcome to humanity. All right. That's simply a part of the journey. We all go there. The difference is some of us live there. So when you go there, welcome to humanity is all I can say to you. And then how can we support you in learning how to develop skill sets to not live there? For some, truly getting out and walking, it's amazing how that changes you. For some, working out, it's amazing how it changes you. For some, it's going in and going out with a friend, especially now in the days of COVID. Do you have a friend who is also perhaps vaccinated and boosted? Or if you don't believe in any of that, a friend who doesn't do any of that either, and you can get together. And so for some, the friend picks you up enormously. So what do you need to see your life in perspective? And sometimes it's calling a friend who loves you enough to say, what's going on? It happens to all of us, no matter who we are. And having somebody we can call to give us an opportunity to see things differently changes things. What I would like to do is a quick overview of 5 different personality styles that I've taught for years, looking at their strengths, their vulnerabilities, and their belief systems, so you can also see the diseases they are more predisposed to. I'll share my screen and I'll come back and forth with you. But let's look at this over here. Let's get rid of this, open this up right here, and let's go back to the beginning. All right. Let me go back over here, see if I can do this. Oh, goodness me. This is what happens. Okay, start the slideshow. All right, here we go. How your personality impacts your health. What ends up happening is, just look at this. Somebody's going to look at this picture and say, oh my God, that's terrifying. Somebody else is going to look at this picture and say, that sounds fantastic. I'd love to do that. That's personality. Some of us have much more fear than others, as simple as this picture is. And as I said to you, everything in your body is energy. Every reaction, every response, all of that is energetic. So somebody is going to look at this picture and say, oh my God, thank God that baby, what a loud mess. Somebody else's heart's going to say, the poor sweet little thing. No right or wrong way to respond to this. Just notice how you do it. And that tells you something about you. And what happens with that emotion? Oh, I shouldn't think what a rotten little baby. Thank God I don't have one. How bad I am. And so we hold that thought. Now, that's what you think, and own it. And thank God if you don't have a baby in your life, because everybody wins. All right. So just look at that, feeling, thoughts, and body memory. Then the first personality construct we're going to work with is, and this develops in utero or at time of birth. This is the creative devil. This is the intellectual. In leadership, they become the thought leader. And some studies, they call this the schizoid structure, not schizophrenic, the schizoid structure, because these people are highly spiritual. And this started in utero and at birth. They are highly spiritual. Often they are psychics. They are extremely sensitive, extremely perceptive, and very brilliant, innovative thinkers. These are also our artists, our singers, our dancers, our little drawing artists. These are the creative individuals. This is this strength that they have in their personality. And now we all have all 5 of these that I'm going to show you, but some of us, like 80% of who we are is this particular structure. And some of us have maybe 10% of this structure within us, all right? Their belief systems, their spiritual belief systems, is the world is a very dangerous place. I am safe if I am invisible. Therefore, they tend to hide. Some of them will tell you that they're shy, when in fact, they're not really shy at all if they know you. They're just frightened of the outside world. And so they stay reticent. They stay home alone because they're frightened of being around people, because they feel unsafe. They may not know the right thing to say. They may not know the right way to act. You know, what we have noticed with Asperger's and ADHD, many of these kids are extremely intelligent. They are just filled with acute anxiety in the world, and they don't have the social skills to function easily in a social setting. But they are very, very intelligent. I have a client right now, he's in his 2nd year at Tufts. He's a theoretical physicist. And yet throughout elementary school, his teachers were disgusted with him because he was so stupid. Because he couldn't sit still. He was acting out in the class. He was always moving and doing things. And he didn't focus. And I'm sure it was very difficult on the teachers. But instead of saying this is a difficult child, he was a stupid kid who couldn't learn, when in fact, he's a genius and highly, highly intelligent. So look at what we do again with labels and define illness where it doesn't exist, or define limitations where they don't exist. If you see little children, sometimes you notice little ones, they walk on their tiptoes. You see these 2-year-old, 3-year-olds learning to walk, and they're on their tiptoes because this is that structure. They are frightened of really planting their feet on the earth because it's unsafe. They touch it, they touch the physical world as little as they can. Frequently, they believe they don't belong here, and they feel trapped in this physical body of theirs. This is very much a part of their personality.
Lay down, lay down.
All right.
All right, come on.
So, Cheryl? Okay, so this is very much a part of their personality. And so notice if they feel trapped, they feel like they don't belong here. The truth is they do, they're here for the moment. They're here for the moment, so they do belong here. They chose to incarnate for some reason, all right? The common illnesses that take place with these folks, because they're not fully present, they often, you see them, they'll take a shower and discover a huge black and blue mark on their body, not know where it came from, but there's a huge black and blue mark on their body. What happened is they walked into something during the course of the day, but because they're not home, they don't experience their body. And they frequently develop bone disorders, knees, joints, neck disorders, all right, skin disorders. All of these kinds of things exist because they are not fully present in their bodies and they're walking into things. So just notice that. All right, next. The next personality is the empathic, is the very much the oral person. In their weaker moments, they are the ones that are so needy they can suck us dry in 5 minutes. That's when they're in their defenses, when they are in their fears, when they are in their authentic self, because we are not our fears, we are not our defenses. We are embodied souls that are exquisitely holy and good. And what ends up happening in these exquisite souls that enter this physical body, we all come in with a core essence that is exquisite. That is the essence of our soul. What we have over that core essence, what we carry with us, is something else altogether. And what we carry with us then is a mask that we put on so that others see the way we believe we're supposed to be. We have defenses that we've created. And then the defenses we created, for some it's humor because it keeps people away. Others, whenever they feel scared, they get angry because anger keeps people away. For some other people, they get nervous no matter what happens, they feel inadequate and they get nervous. So notice that we all have these emotions, we all have these defenses, but none of that is who we truly are. So when we betray ourselves and go into our defenses, each one of these go into defenses differently. But when we are authentic self, the essence of our soul radiates out. These folks here are the folks that are most interested in helping other people. They recognize other people's needs, and they're very easy to trust. They are very unthreatening. These are the folks that in the office, they always bring in cakes for somebody's birthday. These are the ones that in the neighborhood arrange dinners to be brought in to a neighbor who's sick. These are the ones who are always developing groups. These are the social workers. They're always thinking of other people. They're always doing for other people. They need to be needed. So they're interested in helping others. They recognize others' needs and they're easy to trust and relate to. All right. So notice who that is, but notice that when they are in defense, they go to another place. And that belief system becomes, I can't get enough. I had a client who was surprised. Her husband bought her a blue BMW for her birthday. She'd wanted one for years. And she was enraged. He bought it at the wrong color blue. All right. No matter what he gave her, it wasn't enough. It wasn't right. She couldn't allow her needs to be met. She couldn't say, I feel filled, because her belief system is the world can't give her enough. And in bottom line really is she wasn't enough. And because she wasn't enough, she couldn't get enough. And she had to believe her needs would never be met. And there's a sense of entitlement. And I can't do anything for myself and nobody will help me. Frequently, they are helped consistently and often on everything, but they can't receive the help emotionally or spiritually, so they don't recognize it. Common illnesses and that kind of thing is addiction, again, because there's not enough. No matter how much food or alcohol or drugs, whatever they have, there's not enough. They tend to sit down, the very passive people, when they're in their defense. They're very passive people. They have very low immune function because, again, energy moving, getting out, doing things increases our movement. It keeps the energy flow. And with that increased movement, our immune system is impacted enormously, which is why they encourage exercise, which is why they encourage movement, walking. It doesn't matter what it is, because it strengthens our immune system. Because they don't have enough, diabetes becomes an issue. Diabetes, again, is the inability to deal with what's going on inside their body. Obesity becomes an issue because they're more passive. And anorexia or bulimia becomes a common disorder for those folks. All right. I'm doing a very quick overview of this. I just want to expose you to it. All right. The course later, if you choose to take it, will give you all of this in much more detail. The third personality construct here is the nurturer. When they're healthy, when they're unhealthy, the masochist. In leadership, they tend to be the supportive leader. These folks are absolutely reliable. If they commit to help you with something, they will die in the process of helping you. They will not stop until it's completed. They are reliable. They are hard workers. They are absolutely loyal, like these little loved dogs. They are very persevering and capable of great love. These are the folks who know how to love unconditionally. Everybody deserves one, at least one of these folks in their lives. They give and give and give. They are supportive. They are kind. They are generous, unconditionally loving. However, what ends up happening is when they are in defense, they don't believe they are lovable. So these are the ones that can be in your way because they insist upon doing something for you, whether you want it or not. A friend used to laugh. He was having dinner, and before he was done, of course, his wife was cleaning the table off before he had even finished his dinner. You know, they want to help you. They want to take care of you. They want to nurture you to a point where you're feeling smothered. And so look at this. They are capable of great love, but frequently when they are in defense, it comes from a place of believing they are unlovable. And if they keep doing and doing, maybe you will love them. So when we come down to belief systems, the more I suffer, the more people will like me. So I'm not just going to do things to the extreme. I have to let people know I'm doing things to the extreme. I have to let them know how exhausted I got doing it, because then they will know how kind and loving and generous I am. Because if I do it and nobody notices, I'm not getting a benefit out of it. So I've got to suffer so that people know how much I'm giving. Now, again, this is the defense. It's not that healthy self. And we're looking at the unhealthy self because that's where disease comes from, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. When you're in any one of these personalities, and no one is better than another, when you are that creative artist, when you are that creative self, everything is flowing and you're alive and you're vibrant and you do not have disease, or if you have a chronic disease, it's being maintained at a wonderful level. When you're in that more oral place and you are just somebody who fills the needs of others, who anticipates others' needs, and you fill them, you love being needed and you're there to support people, but you have your boundaries. I will give everything I've got to give until 6 o'clock and then I'm done. All right, I can set my boundaries and I'm comfortable setting boundaries. That's the healthy. The unhealthy is when they don't have the ability to fill their own needs. With this person here, the nurturer, they are absolutely loving, but again, having a boundary. I can't do anymore. But then when they're in defense, they give and give, and they need you to know. Years ago, once my little ones were at camp and I needed money for camp, all of a sudden, you know, as children do, they carry these papers in their backpacks and they never give them to you. Until finally they give it to you, and Mom, today I need $1,000 to do this and so, or 500. And my kids needed some money to go to camp. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, could I borrow something for 2 weeks? I was going to get a check in 2 weeks. And I said to put the kids through camp. And my mom said, sure. This was like in April. I'll give you money. Dan and I don't need to go on vacation. We'll cancel our November vacation. It won't be a problem. I'll give you what you need. I said, Mom, your vacation is in November. I'm going to give you the money back in 2 to 3 weeks. It's okay. I don't mind. We'll cancel our vacation. I'll tell Dan tonight. He'll be in a better place. But okay, I knew before I hung up, she was going to be contacting every one of my brothers and sister to let them all know about the major sacrifice she had made for me. All right. And when I said, never mind, Mom, I don't want you to cancel your vacation. The kids can do without camp. They should have given me the papers. That's just like you. You never ask for anything. You think you can do everything on your own. You don't need me or anybody else. I don't know what it is with you. So no matter how it goes, she was going to suffer. Barbara's here. She knows this is very much my mother. This is how she would have done it. All right, how she did it. All right. But with this one here, I must never be angry or make others uncomfortable, which in fact, you know, when they're in that defense, they make us very uncomfortable, because when you know somebody is enraged and you say, what's up? Nothing. Well, that sort of made me feel scared because now I have no clue what's going on, but I know something is. And the step with the belief of I wish I could, but I can't. That is an absolute illusion. If you wish you could, you can. I don't care what it is. If you wish you could, you can. I am powerless. No one on this planet has 1 ounce more power than anybody else. Some of us believe we are powerless because we're frightened of using our power because we have an image of what powerful people look like. Many of those who are frightened of being powerful came from an abusive family. And to a child, that really powerful, abusive mom or dad were powerful when in fact they were terrified individuals who abused because they were so filled with fear. Powerful people have no desire to control. Powerful people choose to create change. Powerful people live a journey filled with self-direction and self-focus. People who control are people who are terrified that if they don't control you, you will control them. Very, very different. So these folks were often raised with somebody who is rage-filled and abusive. They don't want to be like them, therefore they claim they are powerless, when in truth, nobody is more powerful than we are. Some use that power to abuse, some use that power, they sit on it because they don't want to experience it. Some people run from it because they are terrified of misusing it. Common illnesses for these folks are digestive and eating disorders. Because they hold so much in, ulcers and acute anxiety of never doing enough fills them. Ulcers become a major problem. Liver problems develop because of so much held in fear, so much held in emotion that they don't express. Because if I express of my emotions, you won't want to be around me, therefore you won't like me, therefore I can't do this. Breast cancer is a common occurrence for this personality. Breasts are sexual organs. Simultaneously, they are organs in which we nurture. And we are raised in Judeo-Christian culture to nurture the world, but never to nurture ourselves. So what ends up happening with right breast cancer, remember I said earlier, the right side of the body is belief systems and actions. The left side of the body is the feminine, the creative, and that ability for the I am. So right breast cancer is, I don't believe I have the right to fill my own needs. That is selfishness. I am only here for other people. Left breast cancer, I believe I have the right to nurture others, but only after everybody else's needs are met. The issue with that, however, is that we continuously bring in needy people. We promise the world we can fill their needs, and so we never have everybody in our world whose needs are met. And so therefore we set ourselves up. Chronic fatigue, the masochist here. I have worked with a young girl, she had chronic fatigue. She came in to see me, and her parents were first generation immigrants from Italy. They wanted her to go to college, the first child in the family to ever go to college. And good girls became teachers. She didn't want to be a teacher, but her parents were sending her to school, and so she became a teacher. The first semester in school, she realized she hated it, and she started becoming physically ill. My second semester, she was there for a couple of weeks. She came in to see me in my office, and she came in with a walker, and this man brought her, young man brought her in and opened up the door and brought her in. And he waited in the waiting room, and she came in with her walker. And I asked what was up, and she had chronic fatigue. And I said, who is that gorgeous guy out there in the waiting room? She said, that's my ex-fiance. I said, why an ex-fiance? He is so loving to you. She said, yes. She goes, he won't give up on me. She goes, but he's always wanted children. And my doctor told me that if I had children, it could kill me. I have chronic fatigue. Where on earth these ideas come from, only God knows. But doctors give prognoses that should never be given. So she broke up with them so he could have children with somebody else. And as I was working with her, doing half-hour therapy and a half hour on the table, I had a vision of her in a fenced-in area where she was teaching kids different sports, volleyball, how to, dodgeball, all kinds of different things. And I said to her, I have this image of you. Do you have a boys club, a girls club, or something like that in your neighborhood? She said, I do. I said, you hate teaching, but have you ever thought about just working with kids outdoors and sports? She goes, I would love it. I don't ever want to be in a classroom again, but I'd love to be outside with kids doing sports. So why don't you see if you can volunteer 1 or 2 mornings a week? You know, you can take your walker, but you can instruct the kids what to do. Well, she said, let me find out. And she went and she did it. She said, I think my parents are going to be terrified, but I'll try it. She went and did it, loved it. And then they asked her to do 2 full days a week. And she went from the walker to a cane. And she was having a ball. Eventually, she didn't need the cane anymore and she was working full time. I stayed with this woman until she was married to this man and with her second pregnancy. And what ended up happening was this chronic fatigue. She was a good girl, a masochist girl, gave up her dreams, gave up her life for her parents and entered a position she didn't want. And when she went back and claimed her life, claimed her vision, her parents were thrilled because they thought they were going to lose their baby. They never thought they were going to be grandparents. So her parents were thrilled when she finally said, this is my life. This is what I want to do. And but chronic fatigue was no longer an issue. She worked, again, this is a chronic illness that should never be recovered from, yet so many of these chronic illnesses that never should be recovered from are left behind. Persistent fatigue, the same thing. What is the belief system you have? In what way are you betraying yourself and giving yourself up? All right, let's go through the next one. The controlling personality, the leader controlling. And leadership styles, these are very much a visionary leader. Take a look at this, and we're almost done. And then I want to do question and answers and really deal with whatever else may be up for you. But in looking at this one here, the visionary leader, these are the really, every one of us is a leader. Let me back up with that. I believe every single one of us is a born leader. Not for a moment, that doesn't mean we're meant to lead an organization of 5,000 people. All it says is we are called to be the leaders of our own lives. We have entered this earth for a reason. There's a reason we're here. We have something we came here to accomplish. We have personal growth we came here to achieve. We are meant to lead our own lives and not leave that up for other people to tell us how to live our lives. We're here to lead our journey. And when we abdicate and give control of our life to somebody else, we've moved into self-betrayal. So this visionary leader is, what is the vision for you? Who do you want to become? What do you want to do with your life? And recognize that your vision will expand or change over the journey. Your vision changes or expands as you go through your life. A very good leader, these folks, this personality, they end up, no matter what you do, you end up in a leadership position. I went to the point in my life where I stopped joining organizations because I always ended up on the board or president. And it was like, all I wanted to do was attend a meeting. And somehow you end up on the board, or you end up, being president of the organization. It's like, it's okay. I just wanted to be invisible and in the background. And some of us just don't do invisible well at all. There's just too much to us. It shows up and people say, okay, here we go. It's who we are. When we chose to come in this time, it's how we chose to come in. All right. And let's look at that. Then you have powerful speakers. These folks are really powerful speakers. They're very charismatic. They're also very generous, entertaining, and charming. They're cool under fire. And I tell you this one, what ended up happening in this one, years ago, I was an airline stewardess, an international airline stewardess, and men made twice as much money as the women because somehow men were better leaders than women were. And the pursers made good money. And so I was on first class, sitting way up at the front door with a purser next to me. And here I am. And the door started whistling. We were at 35,000 feet up in the sky. The door starts whistling. And this man said, I'm not being the first one out. He ran to the back of the plane and left me there. Okay. Clearly, leadership wasn't one of his greater skill sets. This type of leadership, being a powerful leader, wasn't it. I picked up the phone and called the cockpit and told him, and the first officer came back. We went down a little bit, shifted a few things. The door was fine. We went back up again. And then he came forward. Now, this man's making twice as much money as me because he has a penis, but life goes on and we do these things. So look at what happens here with leadership. They can be cool under fire. I can assure you, when I get back into my apartment in Manhattan, went back to my house, I had a glass of wine and a large piece of chocolate cake. Instead, I take a lot of deep breaths. It was a rather scary experience, but at that moment, something needed to be done. Somebody needed to take charge to save all the people on that airplane. And this is what happens. These people can do this. We all have that ability if we choose to develop it. Unfortunately, when these people are in defense, they need to be right. They are never wrong. Anybody you know who is never wrong? If you think they're wrong, it's because there's something wrong with you. They want power, but not responsibility. These folks tend to marry or enter relationships with masochists because the masochist is willing to take on all the responsibility in the house, and this person takes on all the power. This is the one that makes all the decisions. He's very much in charge. And their partner carries all the responsibility. You don't get too close to me unless you look up to me. I will never be your peer. I will always be better than you. I will always be more important than you. I will always know more than you. And you can look up to me. And I will love you down there, but I will never love you in alignment with me. All right. And they have a belief that they don't need anyone. Reality is every one of us needs people in our life. We cannot go through this journey alone. We don't need to be in a marriage, but we need people in our lives. Common illnesses of this, because they hold their energy up above. This reminds me of the wolf and I will huff and puff and blow your house down. All the energy comes to the top part of their body. They tend to have very big shoulders. Each one of these structures has a different physical build. They tend to have very broad shoulders. Or women, very big breasts. It's all the weight, all of their weight and everything is in the upper part of their body. They have benign essential tremors. Their hands may shake enormously. All right. They need control, and the stress in them needing control, the whole body just responds because there's so much urgency for control, and they're filled with such terror that their hands literally shake. These folks develop gallbladder disorders because this is where rage is held. And when they don't have all the control they believe they need in order to be safe, all of that rage is held in the gallbladder, and the gallbladder ends up either dying, becoming cancerous, or it stops functioning. And so gallbladder disorders, this is very much that personality. Again, all of these personalities are exquisite. It's just each one, when it goes into defense, it goes into self-betrayal, and it expresses itself differently. And the gallbladder holds rage. The guile, the bile, the all of that burning sensation, that because they are burning up inside. Fibromyalgia is a common illness for these folks. I received $50,000 from NIH years ago to research my work of the WISE method that I created to research that work. And they asked me to study fibromyalgia because it was disease of the moment. And fibromyalgia, that personality is somebody who is very much the smother mother or smother father, because men and women have this disorder. They are the ones who will tell you how to live your life, what you should be doing. And if you go back to point of onset, it's when one of their children or brother or whoever is now out of their control. When a child goes to school or goes to college cross country or gets married and moves away, all of a sudden the mother can no longer protect their child. They believe that they have no value in and of themselves. Their sole purpose is in their ability to protect the people they love from life. And when they can't protect the people they love from life, they are so filled with such acute anxiety, they develop fibromyalgia. All right. And heart attacks, again, because they hold all the energy up here. Remember, I said to you earlier that they cannot be in a peer relationship. Their heart has issues in expressing love and letting energy out. So heart attacks become common. Strokes are also an issue. prostate issues become a problem here. Remember the man I told you about who developed prostate cancer? He needed to be controlled. It was his job to protect his family and provide for them. Prostate cancer developed. All right. Now, the last personality construct here is the high achiever. And they are a high achiever when they are healthy. They become rigid when they are in fear. And the high achiever tends to be very successful. They have high energy levels, a very fast worker. They get things done. They like just keep moving. Let's get going. Let's get going. Let's get going. And let's get it done. And they will do an extremely good job at everything they do. They're well liked because the controller is the charmer, but they can turn on you at any moment. So they're frightening. This person here is extremely powerful. They make things happen, but they don't have a desire to control anybody. They want their life to be perfect, their desk to be perfect. They want complete order in their world, but what happens in yours is irrelevant. They are liked by everybody because they're powerful and they make things happen. You want to be around them. They're very organized, so they're a nice, easy person to be with. When they are in defense, they become the overachiever because they believe they have to work to be okay. There is always something else to do. They have no ability to sit down and breathe. Good enough is not good enough for them. They have to be the best. They have a great difficulty when they're in school and they get a B minus, or they get an A minus even. They failed. But they also grew up with parents who said, you got an A minus, what happened? What did you not pay attention to? What did you miss? So they have to be the best. They win the marathons. They become the best at whatever it is they're doing because they have no choice. Common illnesses for them are disorders of the heart and the lungs and the thymus. What happens for them is the lungs are about breathing in life and all of its changes. When we can't breathe in life and all of its changes, and some of that may include grief, grieving the loss of something. All right. When we can't deal with that, with life and all of its changes, because it's not perfect, where we hold our energy is in our lungs or in the thymus or in the heart. Constipation is a problem because they tend to hold themselves very solid, very tight, very perfect. They look perfect at all times. And when you say to them, you are always perfect, oh my God, I'm not. My hair back here today, I just couldn't do a thing with this little piece back here. They can find something wrong with the smallest thing that in their mind's eye keeps them away from perfection. Yet if you or I were to look at them, they look perfect. Pulmonary disorders, again, because they hold themselves so tightly, their organs can't function, which is why constipation takes place. If you watch them breathing, their chest doesn't move. Some people, you see them breathing, you can readily see them breathing. Everything is moving in and out. These people, nothing moves. Circulation becomes a problem, again, because they hold themselves so rigidly. Circulation becomes a problem for them as well. All right. So notice that when you are happy with who you are and you recognize we all go to defense, we all go to that place in us that we don't like. Welcome to humanity. The issue, that doesn't make you ill. What makes you ill is when you live in that place for a period of time. So when you're happy with who you are, you realize the gift you are to the world. And we truly are a gift, every one of us, to the world. Your soul does sing. You are happy with who you are. And your body has the ability to dance because it is perfectly happy and at home. All right. So the gift here isn't about becoming perfect. The gift here isn't about never going into defense. The gift is about recognizing your defenses and loving yourself, not in spite of them, but they create the package. They create the package. And the fact is, when you love somebody, you watch. When I'm at my daughter's house, I'm over there every Sunday night for dinner. And my daughter, at one point in her life, was a lieutenant commander in the Navy. And Amy Lynn is very much like this. And so sometimes I'm over there and I'll say, honey, can I do anything to help? And she'll say, no, thanks, Mom. I got it under control. I just say, she definitely does. And I just sit back and she'll pour me a glass of wine and I'll say, okay, sweetie. And I'll sit and just watch her do her thing. You know, if I wanted to be in control, I could let her know, you're full of crap. Sit down. You need to relax. You need to take it easy. Well, I yell and abuse her to sit down and relax and take it easy, which will make her more stressed, which will make her more reactionary. And now we're in a fight and she doesn't know why I caused a problem. So you learn to sit back, let her be in control, let her be in charge, let her make it work perfectly and let it go. And then she can begin to laugh at herself. And then when she can laugh at herself, you know, everything is working. She recognizes her traits. They're not good or bad, they're just hers. And she can say to me, and she'll say, okay, Dottie, which means mind your own business. And I say, all right, Amy. And I will sit here. And then we just laugh at each other because she knows I want to rescue her. And I know she wants to be in control. And we can laugh at it, because we each recognize the defenses we go to, and it's okay. Welcome to humanity. Now let's come on back and start laughing at the reality of it all. All right, let me look and see about questions here. Okay, Jeannie had to jump off. All right. Can you put the characteristics and beliefs back up for achiever? I most certainly can, darling. Is it possible to have 2 or more of these categories dominating? Yes, we have all 5 of these, every one of us. But let's just say somebody has 60% of one, and they're going to have 20% of another. Then they're going to have 5, 8, whatever percent of each of the others. And some of us may have 40-40. And then the others are even smaller percentages. That's what makes us uniquely us. We are uniquely us. Now remember, we're not equally us because we have all of these defenses. We're equally us because we have all of these strengths. This exquisite soul has learned to express itself through a personality it developed in order to be loved or in order to be safe. And when you start realizing that people just love you because, not because of what you do, but simply because you exist, because of who you are, you let down and certain personality traits disappear because they weren't you. Your language changes because you no longer put yourself in situations where you're in danger. Other things change because you're doing your life differently. Who has questions? Anybody? All right, filled every single question your heart desired. Let me put up the achiever. She asked me to do that. I will put that up for a moment. See if it's still there. If it is, I will show it to you. Let me go back. All right. And you know what I will do? Let me make it easier for everybody. I will send it to you. All right. I will send that to you, make it easier. I can send you the whole piece of it. All right, Kimberly. So are there any questions? I cannot believe for a moment that everybody understands every single word I said.
Dottie, I think you covered a lot of material, so I think it's going to take me a little bit of time to process it. You know, even though I've taken the energy medicine program a while back, I know I still have these notes, and I know I still have to review them and go over and remind myself over and over again of your words and the connection and what I have the ability to do. And to accept the responsibility to make the changes that I need to change.
Yeah.
And I need to do it for myself. You know, that's, but I need to have, and I do have support.
Yeah. You do have support. And the fact is, we can do this. We can do this, and we do have to end up doing this ourselves. But what ends up happening is that we do it ourselves, but sometimes somebody else supporting you, it may be a book you read, it may be somebody you're talking to. We don't know what it is. Something can happen that makes it easier for us to get it, because we don't have to do anything the hardest way possible. We do have to do it, but we don't have to do it the hardest way possible. That's more of the masochistic piece,
Right.
where if I really struggle at it, I'm really going to get it. Life is not meant to be a struggle. That's an illusion. Kimberly, you asked, does the course help you determine your primary? Yes, the course does help you determine your primary. And because the course is small enough and people in it, we will go through a lot more of understanding your defenses, why you chose those particular defenses, how it can help you eliminate some of those defenses in order to support you, so that you're coming at this differently, and you can recognize when you go into defense and laugh at yourself when you're in it, or take a deep breath. Such as when you want to slap some dumb dodo on the side of their head, you say, ooh, not my best self at the moment. All right. And not go into self-judgment, not go into self-hatred, not go into depression because you should be beyond this. No, you shouldn't. You're human.
Dorothy, this is Patty.
Yeah.
For your, I can identify little things in all of them, but to identify your primary, does it directly relate to the sheet you had for common illness for that type?
Yes.
Would that become your primary type?
Yes.
Okay.
What I have, Patty, let me, what I can do to you, let me make a note. I'll send it to you after this, that I have a leadership self-assessment tool. It's
Mhm.
on my website on the homepage. And as you go through that, what it does, it lists these structures, these leadership styles, and they
Okay.
have several boxes. Of the defenses, it has of the strengths, of the illnesses and so forth. And when you're done, and each one has a number of boxes, what you'll see is that one of them you're going to may have 40 boxes checked.
Yep.
Another one has 10 boxes checked.
Right.
Then you
Okay.
see, okay, the one with 40 boxes checked, I guess that's me,
Okay.
right? Because we have an amazing ability to say, oh, no, I'm not like that.
Got
Oh,
it.
yes, we are. And I will send that to you, Patty. And it's really, it's a fun way to look at it and understand, but we'll do some of that, in the class, and just to support people seeing it even further, but you can take that, Patty. It's free of charge. I'll send it to you. You can take that. All right. What other questions? What does it mean when somebody tells you you take yourself too seriously? I would say that when oftentimes, and again, that's what they say, not what you say. Oftentimes when somebody says you take yourself too seriously, it's because you are caught up in the defense of needing to be perfect. That you need to know exactly who you are, exactly what you're doing, exactly what's going on. And when you put that pressure on yourself and somebody teases you, it's very hard to take in because it disrupts but I want to present all together. I want to present perfectly. And many of us as professionals have been conditioned to present all together. And when my students, I had a school for 19 years, my students would say to me, but you have it all together. I said, I do, and it's over in that corner. It's all together and it's over there. None of us have it all together all the time. The gift is, how frequently can I have it all together? Which only means that I understand what my stuff is. And it's not getting in my way at the moment. It doesn't mean I've eliminated it. It just means I know what it is and it's not acting out and getting out in the way. So when somebody can tease me about something, they may be completely right on, or they may not understand me at all because they're seeing me through a filter they've created. Because if I know nobody wants me around because I'm not good enough, and I go into a restaurant and nobody says hide to me, I know it's because I'm not good enough. It may be that everybody's caught up in their own conversations and they didn't even notice I walked in, but the filter through which I'm going to see that activity is nobody even likes me. Even though they don't know me, it's irrelevant. I already know they don't like me because nobody does. So that filter we create through which we see the world defines how we judge us. So when we can look and say, this is it. This is it. And when we're confident it works. Years ago, I was teaching a class, some teachers wanted a teacher education day, and I went in to teach them. And this was long after I received my grant, long after I had my doctorate and all of this stuff. And one of the teachers asked me a question and I gave an answer, and he said, that's the wrong answer. If you really knew about energy medicine, you would know the right answer to that question. And I said, okay, I guess you're smarter than I. What am I going to say? Honey, I just received $50,000 from NIH. I just completed research. I'm a clinical instructor at UConn Medical School. I have a PhD in energy medicine. Tell me again how much you know about the subject. What is that going to prove? That I'm in a spitting contest and I win. It's like, okay, you win, I lose. And that's the end of it. And the question he asked, he didn't have the right answer, but he must have read it somewhere. And since he read it somewhere, it was the truth. And it's like, okay, you win. I'll be dumb. You're smart. And I was okay with that versus I'm going to hold on to that anger or that feeling, depending on where I come from, that feeling of inadequacy. Oh my God, I should have known that. I should have. No, I know for a fact he was mistaken, but that's okay. Let him be there. I'll be the dumb one. He can be the smart one. It makes his day. And life goes on because he really didn't want to learn. He wanted to prove how right he was.
Hey, Dottie.
Yeah.
I can't write to you because I had to be on my phone because I had so much trouble with my computer. But I'm wondering how to figure out your secondary or your tertiary personality style. It's hard to know the percentages. Is that something you can learn to do better or what?
You can, Barbara. What I'll do is I will send to each one of you the leadership self-assessment tool. And as you take that and you look at the numbers that go with it, Barbara, you will see the personalities that have the most checks for you and what traits are applicable to you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the ones and you'll notice it.
Okay.
Unless you have a dear friend who knows you so well that.
Well, I know. I think we'll do that tonight. I know you told me what my first one is a long time ago.
And subtlety wasn't it, but yes.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So, but this is very good. I really enjoyed it, even though I learned this years ago.
Yeah.
It's, you tend to forget or just put it in the back of your mind.
You do. I mean, welcome to humanity. We
Yep.
get caught up in other things and we
Right.
forget what we know. It's the funniest, I had a friend here that I grew up with in Southie in the housing projects, and we hung in the same street corner, in the same gang before I went in and became a Catholic nun. And he was here the other night for dinner with his wife, and we were talking. And he remembered, he said, remember when? I mean, his memory is far better than mine. But the thing is, you think you're gone. But then he said, remember when our parents used to make Spam sandwiches? And you think, oh my God, did I forget that reality? He said, remember when they used to fry bologna and it curled up like a taco shell? Oh, that was gross and disgusting. But it's like, I forgot all of these things. But yet, as Tommy brought them up, I could see it right there in front of me, And so this stuff we think we forgot, the moment somebody mentions it, it moves right up to the front of your brain.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, now I remember. And you can even add to the story because now that it's brought to the front, you remember these things. It's the same with this. It's the same with this kind of material. You know,
Right.
Mary graduated from my school, Loretta went to my school, you know, all of these folks were there. That, yes, so they learned this, but to be reminded of it again, you know, and Pam was, who was here, Pam went to my school as well, you know, so they know it, but it disappears when they're not around it.
Mhm.
So when you can bring it back through something like this, it's really, it's a gift you give yourself. And why not? Life is short, so why not do it? Why not get it, you know?
Mhm.
And learn, because it's just fun. It's just fun, you know. We want to, I think we want to just keep growing. We want to keep becoming alive. I just put a link at the bottom there to the course if you're interested in signing up for it. It is going to be an 8-week program. It's $1,000, but if you sign up today, within the next 24 hours, it's $7.99. So this link is for the discount price if you choose to take the 8-week program with me. You're welcome to it. If you have any questions, just let me know. But yeah, I want to go over much more clearly, define your first and second structures, define, looking at your medical history, because I will have you do that, you know, look at your medical history. Let's put that down there. Let's look at what it's about. Let's look at what you can change, what belief systems you need to change going forward. How can you begin to laugh at yourself? Because if we do take ourselves too seriously, you know, life is always about being good enough. It's about being perfect in order to be accepted, in order to be loved. And the fact is, I believe anybody we truly know, we will love. I believe hatred, racism, bigotry, all of those things are based on ignorance. When you truly meet somebody, you have no choice but to see the exquisiteness of their embodied soul. You have no choice but to see their exquisite goodness. And it's going to radiate out differently. One person's soul radiates out as joy, and others radiates out as gentleness, and others radiates out as wisdom. All of us have these exquisite traits that our soul reflects. And sadly, many people forget that. And because I've had people say to me, but what if I don't have a soul? What if I don't have exquisiteness? There is nobody alive who doesn't, you know? So it's recognizing and honoring that who we are is the exquisiteness of this. The defenses and the fears, and our fears take us into our defenses. Our fears put us into that mask. And that's where our personality defines our disease. That's where our personality defines the illnesses. And your illness will really be dependent upon your personality. Because if you're that creative leader, a creative thought person, the artist, your diseases are not going to be because of intensity. You don't do intensity. You're floating around out there. You know, they're the folks, you know, they're the folks you talk to when nobody's home. You know, they're looking at you, but you know, there's nobody there, you know, and that's okay. Or they're so caught in intellectual pursuit, nothing else is there. So just know they're going to hold their energy very differently than that person who's going to be in charge of every damn person in this room and get it all together. Their energy feels differently when you're with them. All right. I hope this has given you everything you hope to achieve by coming and spending all this time with me. I'm truly grateful you have. If you have any questions, please send them to me. Just because this is over doesn't mean I won't answer your questions. Send them to me, ask. And if you're interested in the course, I'd love to see you. And we can take this so much further and so much deeper. All righty. Have a great day to all of you.
You
All
too.
right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dottie.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.